So far in this lesson, we've talked a lot about audio recording, really from the perspective of digital audio, getting a better understanding of the audio signals that we'll be working with. But what we'd like to do now is to do an actual recording session, see how we actually record an artist. Now, the things we're talking about here are things that you can apply when you're recording with another person or also when you record yourself. So these are very common practices, some things to think about as you start recording. So first of all, there's going to be two parts to this. First, we'll see what we're setting up in Ableton Live, how we get the computer, the software ready to record. Then we'll take a look at the microphone setup, get placement, get levels, and we'll record. So today we're going to be working with our artist, Goz Asai. And we'll be doing a song that he's written called Guys Like Space. So let's take a look at how we're going to get started with this. So first of all, let's go to Ableton Live. Right now I have a blank session, and I take a look and I see that there's two MIDI tracks. I really don't need those, so I'm going to delete those. And then I have two tracks that are labeled just as audio tracks. A very important part of recording is session management, so you know where your recordings are going to be stored. So let's go ahead and name this first track. It will be the vocal track. And then the second one, we're going to be using this as the guitar track. Okay, so both of these are now labeled. It's going to be very clear where the audio is going to be stored. A couple things to think about. As we're recording, we're going to be monitoring what's coming into Ableton Live, what we're recording. And there's a couple ways to do this. There's a monitor section in Ableton Live. One of the things I can do is choose to monitor the input. And at this point, I'm hearing anything that's coming from the microphones through the interface into Ableton Live. But typically, if I'm going to record, I'm going to set this in auto mode. And when I record and enable, I am going to be getting the input coming in. And Ableton is going to figure out if it's going to be monitoring the audio that I'm recording, or once I've recorded, is it going to be monitoring the audio that's playing back from a track. So right now I'm pretty well set up, and so let's take a look at the microphone placement. Microphone placement is a really important part of getting a good recording. And part of this is making sure that the artist, whether it's an artist that you're working with or yourself, making sure that the artist is comfortable. So let's get a placement going with these microphones, and then we'll go and get some levels. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the guitar mic. Both the microphones that we're using for this session are going to be what we call cardioid microphones, meaning they're going to be sensitive to sound coming from the front on axis of the microphone. They're going to reject sound coming from the rear of the microphone. Now, this is really good if you're recording in an apartment or someplace where there's other sound going on. Because if there's sound coming from the room, these microphones will be less sensitive to that sound. So let's start with the guitar. And one of the things as you use mic placement, you want to think about what the instrument actually sounds like. Goz, can you play a little bit for me? So I'm going to listen to the guitar. Okay, so the thing I'm noticing, the guitar sounds a little bit different in the front by the neck than it does in the back. In the front, the guitar is going to sound a little bit warmer. And then if I also move this to the back, it's going to sound a little bit brighter. Now, with a guitar, an acoustic guitar, there's a hole in the middle. And sometimes people are tempted to record from that hole. That's not a great idea because that sound is typically a little bit more boomy. So for this particular song, I'm going to actually record near the bridge. So can you play just a little bit? Is that comfortable?
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, so you want to make sure that the microphone's in such a place that whoever is playing is not going to be hitting the mic. So we should be set with that. Now let's take a look at the vocal mic. So with this, I'm going to move this around. And one of the things you want to notice is in this particular setup, with this microphone, I'm using something called a windscreen, or sometimes it's called a pop filter. And with vocal performances, sometimes we'll get these sudden, what we'll call plosives. So bursts of air. So when I say something that has a P in it, that burst of air oftentimes will hit the microphone hard and it'll cause a little bit of a distorted sound. So if I'm using this windscreen or this pop filter, it will have that dissipate. And so it'll lessen the effect of this plosive. So that's one of the things we want to think about. And then also thinking about where to place the microphone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, let's see, is that where you're going to be about? Bring this up just a little bit. Okay. And right now, I do want to raise this up. So I want the microphone to be about at the same level as the artist's mouth. We'll adjust this here. Great. How's that?
I think it should be good.
Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, the next thing we want to do is to go ahead and check levels. So if we were recording in a studio, I would have studio monitors and Goz would be in another room. But since we're recording in the same room, I'm going to be doing all the monitoring for the recording through my headphones. Now I'm ready to hear Goz. So why don't we start with this? I'm going to start with the guitar level, and I'm going to have Goz play a little bit. So if you could play just the guitar part. Okay, play as hard as you're going to play. Okay, we got that. Now, let's do a little just test on your voice.
Oh, just hello, hello?
Yeah, let's bring this up a little bit. And can you just sing? Da, da, da. Whoa. So we got a burst right there of energy. So that's what you want to avoid. And so right now, let's go back and set the correct level. So if you sing just a little bit. Da, 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 da. Okay, I'm bringing it up a little bit more. Keep singing. Da, 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 great. And so can you sing as loud as you're going to sing?
Focused on the sky while it was raining. I never seemed to understand then.
Okay, great. So one thing to remember is that typically when we're checking levels, an artist will not sing full voice. But when the recording is going on, artists will get a little bit excited. They'll get into it and they'll be a little bit louder. So it's not a bad idea to bring down the level just a little bit from where you set it. So let's go ahead and try the guitar again. Okay, good. So I think at this point, we have pretty good levels on both. So we're going to do right now a take, and Goz is just going to play through the song, and we're going to really use Ableton Live right now as a tape recorder. So we're not going to record to any type of bars and beats reference. Now, one of the things to remember is that recording can be something that's completely spontaneous. You may just be working, you develop an idea, and you just want to capture it. It's okay to just hit record, whether it's with your iPhone, whether it's with your computer. So at this point, what we just want to do is kind of get a sense of just Goz playing the song. So I'm going to let this go and hit record. And once this is ready, and we're going to turn the click off because we don't need that. And we'll take a look here. Let's go back here to the beginning and we'll record. Okay.
Focused on the sky while it was raining. I never seemed to understand then. The sky was dark, the moon was never gleaming, giving it to clouds to move in. And I was never good at letting you win, and giving you the chance to shine when you screamed at me that I would never listen. Timing gave a premature fin. I couldn't see what you would wanna do. I couldn't play along. I criticized when you did nothing wrong. Guys like space, but so do girls. Guys like stars, but she wants hers. To leave her be, strand her at sea for just a while. Guys like space, and so do girls, but they want time, some time to learn. So let her be, to find if she still wants you. 'Cause girls want space from you too.
Great. So that's just a first take. It's a great way just to capture a spontaneous performance, but we want to think about other ways to record if we want to bring out the power of editing.